All right, now we're live.
Oh, now we're live.
Yeah.
Hello again, data analysts.
Okay, can you guys all see and hear us on LinkedIn, on the YouTube, and we should be on Emily's YouTube channel as well. If y'all can hear and see us well, put a one in the chat. Or no, don't put a one in the chat. Where are y'all listening from? Where are y'all watching from? I am hailing from the great state that is now in hurricane season, Southern Florida.
How's that going?
I mean, it's fine for now. Um, nothing too crazy. My dad was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get those big waters, so we can have them in stock."
Oh,
Like, uh, hurricane season is like the number one reason why I never wanted to live in Florida itself. But
right.
it's interesting. There's some people that are like they've been here for like 30 years, and they're like, "Yeah, hurricane."
Toss some plywood up on the windows. Good to
Yeah.
go. All right, and I am coming to you from the west coast of Mexico again today. So, hola.
Does Mexico get hurricanes or no?
We sure do, and because of El Nino this year, and because we're on the west coast, we are set up to have like apparently one of the biggest like hurricane seasons in the history apparently of this part of the world. So yeah, we'll see. But the city that I live in is actually surrounded by mountains. So even when there are like massive hurricanes that cause a lot of damage on the coast and stuff, even though we're super close, like usually everything's totally fine here. So yeah, good stuff.
All right, let's get some more folks coming in.
We sure do. And if you're just joining, let us know where you're joining from.
I'm not seeing any comments. I'm a little worried. Are folks seeing? Oh, are we? What's going on here? I'm not seeing one comment yet. There's usually comments like showing up.
There usually are.
I'm gonna have to do some troubleshooting and seeing if we're actually live.
Yeah. I think
Y'all,
we're
put
live
in
on
the chat
time.
where y'all are watching from, and if y'all can hear and see us. We don't even know if y'all can even hear us. Oh, Wisconsin's in the house. Look at that.
Wisconsin. Where is? Oh, there we go.
All
Jay
right.
that Jude. Zambia. Hey. Awesome. Hey, Wisconsin. Where are you in Wisconsin? I'm from Wisconsin.
YouTube is YouTube is showing us some love. Not seeing any LinkedIn comments. Is anyone from LinkedIn in the house? Kansas.
Nice.
Houston, Texas is in the house.
Oh,
What?
Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Okay. All right. Nigeria.
What's in Eau Claire?
The University of Wisconsin Eau Claire is there. Other than that, small town.
Oh, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, hello. And salam. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, one more minute. Got folks coming in. Only seeing YouTube comments. Where's the LinkedIn comments at? LinkedIn, where are you at, man? Come on. Where's LinkedIn at? Croatia. We're worldwide. I'm seeing way more folks outside the states tonight.
Nice.
Only got
Oh,
17 months left here.
are you
Oh,
getting
wait.
ready to graduate? Is that what you're doing?
He's like, I'm getting the heck up out of here. It's too small.
Jay, I went to UW Whitewater. I did the same. Called it. Okay, nice. Good stuff. Well, we're here to talk about AI today, guys.
Okay, it looks like it's all YouTube in the house today. LinkedIn. I'm how can I say? I'm let me I'm disappointed.
Jay, you moved from Chicago to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Interesting.
Had to have gone there for school. Look for what? Like you had to have gone there for school,
Definitely for school.
or
Definitely.
or parents forced you to go there.
I think that's out of state tuition, or do you have reciprocity? And also, Jay, what are you studying? Sorry, I don't mean to make this all about you. I just get really excited when we have Wisconsin people on the stream. But let us know. All right. Well, I'm ready to go. I see we are live on LinkedIn. I'm sure some people will be joining us later. But getting the
Let's get
youth
started.
up today. All right.
Okay,
Well,
so
that
we're talking about how to use AI to land a data analyst job in a very short amount of time. It's interesting the different use cases or the different usages of AI really since uh, 4 years ago. I always noticed that ChatGPT pretty much was like got live like in late 2022, something like that.
hmm,
So over the course of the years, the different uses of AI has been very interesting. Um, Emily, what are certain things that you've seen? I would say just highlighting like um, how your clients and how you've seen people use AI over the course of the years that have really 10x their job search.
right. Well, there are a lot of things that have been working really well for the job search, and there are a lot of things that have been working not so well for the job search. So I think super high level, like there are good ways and bad ways to use AI in general. So like, obviously when you let it take over completely for you and you let it do the thinking for you. And when you automate yourself out of your job search process, I think that's definitely a bad thing. Um, a good example of this is I have had a couple of clients use automated application tools, which basically will take a resume that, like maybe one resume that you made, or it will create a resume for you, and then it will just spray this resume across the internet and in the hopes that you will get an interview. And I have never had anyone get a legitimate interview from this. I have had people contacted by scammers because they did this, and I have had people, yeah, I would say mostly scams and like non-jobs. Like it looks like a job, but it's not actually a job, which I guess we can just basically classify that as a scam. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how not to use it. And then how to use it is to like help it be a co-thinker with you, help you prepare, help you get your stuff in order, help you polish your story, and then use it to practice so that when you actually are sending out resumes, when you're having interviews, when you're sitting in front of people, your story is polished and you look like the same person, like on your LinkedIn page, as you do on your resume, as you do really in person.
Yeah, I. It's so interesting, really, about like outsourcing your thinking and things like that. I always relate to AI kind of like this, just to kind of put it in perspective. So, like for example, I love babies. I've never had a baby before.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
don't have children, right? And so imagine, right, a Emily. Let's say, for example, right, you just had a new baby, right?
Right.
Um, you would not let me like babysit your newborn baby without anyone there. But I'm pretty sure you would allow me to like hold your baby if you were there, like right there to like, hey, that's how we should be looking at AI, right? Like, and unfortunately, there's so many people that AI seems so like, hey, we can do all this XYZ stuff for you. Um, when you're and you say, okay, I don't need to take any time to like develop any expertise or really learn how to do problem solving in this thing. I could just have AI do it for me. I always like to refer or kind of reframe it into letting someone like me babysit your kid by themselves when I've never had a kid before. So um, one thing also, and I actually saw this, and this has been so systemic. It's one of the university, I think the University of California system now wants to bring back the SATs because they've noticed the reasoning levels have just been tanking with students. One, I didn't know they took away the SAT requirement, but two, if that's being it's one thing about job searches and things like that, but when you notice the effects of it from different generations,
Yeah.
that's a systemic issue. Um, Huge systemic issue. I want to talk about one thing too when it comes down to AI. Different use cases as time went along, and even now, there's actually a lot more companies, even small and mid-sized companies, that have like Enterprise Claude, Enterprise Gemini, where you can actually upload a CSV, upload whatever like company data, and like you can talk to it. You can have it like clean up data, whatever it is. But you still need to like understand how to drive the boat. I even saw a Reddit thread where someone was complaining that they'll have like interns or junior analysts that they cannot rely on because all they do is like they'll take everything and just rush to AI, and they're
Right.
just completely not reliable. And then you'll have people, professionals, using AI for everything who they don't know the difference between a mean and a median and things like that. So it's becoming systemic. So it's going to be very easy to separate yourself from everyone else who doesn't use AI the right way. Extremely easy. And one way I know how people are using it on the job now is relations to ETL and like data engineering. So I say when it comes down to full stack analyst skills, data engineering, Python, like heavy SQL is like a must. Like you need every single data job I've had included data engineering, whether it was a
Mm.
data analyst, whether it was a data science, whatever it is. Everything included data engineering. And guess what? The stuff that I had to do was not on the job description. It was
Right.
not on the job description. Exactly. It's like it's one of those understood things. It's becoming like almost every data professional almost is like becoming like a data analyst. I'm not data, but data engineer. It's really becoming like that. But AI is something, especially as enterprises are like actually having these enterprise AI tools. Um, it's going to be helping you, do the pipeline and cleaning faster. What's funny is the person who actually like also showed me like, hey, they have Enterprise Claude. I guess there's like a shared pool among everybody, and he had maxed out his credits like the first week of the month. So even when you have that, you're not going to have it for too long.
Mm.
Um, I also remember when a few years ago, like when ChatGPT was like first new, there were these like automated like Chrome extensions that would like, oh hey, you could just take this, give us the link, and we'll just automatically auto apply for everything. I knew that was like the beginning of the end when it came down to actually being able to land an interview or just quality candidates actually landing an interview.
Right.
Too many people. Everyone's using AI. Everyone has the access to it, and it's getting much harder to decipher between the phonies and the real folks, which is unfortunate. Which makes it harder for everybody. It makes it hard for everyone. So when people are like, "Man, I'm on my 12th round interview tomorrow," I'm sorry, but the phonies made it just ruined it for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Even if they do so much to have the cover that goes through like to get the job offer,
Mm.
then they're going to get exposed in the first 90 days. And
Right.
then that makes it worse, right? No one talks about the cost of bad hires,
Right.
but it's the thing. But AI is really I would say I was pretty anti AI for a while, but even I have pretty much learned as it's gotten better. I've learned some pretty good and pretty fancy leverages of it, especially if you're using AI agents. Okay, then that takes it all to a whole new level. But then that also makes it also like you have to have higher responsibility. So
Mm.
no one really thinks about it. Like whenever you're using AI, you're really like it's like you have to like manage more. So no one talks about like managing things. Like think about like every time you want to, hey, I want to use AI. But think about like hiring someone or like, oh, now you just adopted a kid, right? You can't just let the kid just do whatever. You
Right.
gotta like parent. right? Imagine. So like even though like agents, for example, I love agents. I actually use Manus is my favorite, but the higher, like the more capabilities, the more you have to do QA to be on top of it.
Mhm.
So I think that's a thing that no one really realizes. Really, how much of like QAing, more QAing you have to do, the more you'd like to use AI, which most people don't want to do.
Right. Exactly. So like, I feel like, the bottom line is that companies today are expecting some level of AI fluency. And that being said, there's one company out there that I've been following that has been really vocal about their AI fluency, and they make it really transparent. So I would love to share this site, which is Zapier's site. And what I really, really love about them is how transparent they are about their AI fluency in hiring. So basically, there is a, I don't know if I can actually, if I post this here, I'm posting a link right now. It's getting posted to my YouTube. So Kadisha, I don't know if you want to post that to your YouTube as well, so that everyone can see it. But basically, what it tells us is that being like having no capability with AI is not going to be the case anymore. If you have no AI skills, you absolutely cannot be hired at Zapier. Like this is where we are now. And they go as far as to, create different levels of fluency. So there's capable, adoptive, and transformative. So I'm not going to go through and read out, exactly what that means for each level. But what I am going to do is I'm going to scroll down here because they've taken the additional step to break down what that means specifically for different departments. So they've got their engineering, product support, marketing, people, legal. So even legal and departments that you feel like traditionally haven't been super tech forward, they are requiring AI skills for these hires. And since we're talking about data today, let's have a look at what these levels look like for data analysts at Zapier, or data roles overall at Zapier. So let's not even talk about unacceptable, because that's not the bar that we want to be hitting. So let's talk about capable. I use AI to operate at a meaningfully higher level, meaning uses AI consistently across core workflows like analysis, modeling, engineering, experimentation, improves the speed and quality of outputs while maintaining rigor and reliability, develops repeatable ways of working with AI in recurring tasks, validates outputs, and ensures work meets standards for accuracy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, one level up, adoptive. I orchestrate AI and build systems that elevate how I work. 2 example bullets: builds repeatable AI workflows that significantly reduce manual work and analysis, reporting, or data development, and integrates AI into shared processes so work is more scalable, consistent, or self-serve. All right, and there's even one level above this, transformative. I re-engineer how work happens. And that enables teams across Zapier to independently ingest and use data through AI-powered systems with appropriate guardrails for accuracy, trust, and safety. Replaces significant manual or heuristic work streams with durable AI systems that automate ingestion, transformation, and insight generation. And as a final bullet, establishes AI platforms and workflows where insights are surfaced proactively and teams operate with materially more speed, independence, and leverage. So this is something that is really being taken into consideration. Not all companies have a rubric like this, but Zapier certainly does. And I feel like this is something that, even if you're not applying for Zapier, definitely something that you can be emulating, not only in your job search, but in your work as well.
I think that's a really good way to frame like the levels of, hey, do you know AI or not?
Right.
It's almost like grade school, like fifth grade, sixth grade. Like you're expected to know this in algebra one. You're expected to know this in algebra two. And so it's interesting when I like a year ago or even two. Like if we ask like, hey, how many people here use AI?
Hmm.
We're gonna get a lot of like yeses in the chat, like now it is.
Let's do it. How
Now,
many of you use AI in the chat? Pop it in there.
yeah, let's see. How many of you guys use AI? Do you use AI like, let's say like, at least like you have a subscription to at least one of them and you use it regularly, I would say. Whether it's for personal stuff, for work, um, well, it's like, of course.
Of
Oh yeah,
course.
wait, oh yeah, wait, oh yeah, okay, yeah, wait, of course, yeah.
One of
YouTube is
the other,
showing,
sorry, what was that?
it's like YouTube is showing all the love tonight. I have yet to see a LinkedIn account.
Absolutely. Okay. And one of the things that a lot of times job seekers ask me, especially if you're in like a job search after you've had a long period of employment and all of a sudden you're looking for a job again right now. It's like, how do I go about gaining AI skills if I don't have them right now and if I haven't used that in my job up until now? I think this is a great question. And the thing that I always say is just play with it. Figure out like what types of things are you going to need to do in your work and play with it. Do something unconsequential. So, for example, like I wanted to learn how to use I wanted to learn how to make an automation. So the first automation that I made, it was a personal project. I have a podcast folder, a family podcast folder. So when my kids decide that they want to make a podcast for our family, I upload it to a folder in my Google Drive. It's like 2-minute video or something. But I'm not like posting it externally on Instagram or anything. And then as soon as that happens, I created a workflow that checks this folder like every hour or every couple of hours. And then if it detects that there's a new file in the folder, it sends an email out to the whole family. So then everyone's informed, hey, my kids made a new podcast for you guys. And that's how I learned how to use Anyden. It has 3 nodes in it. And this last week, I created a new, like that was the first thing that I did. I learned how to do it based on that. And this last week, I made a workflow with probably over 30 nodes in it and like branches. And I'm not an AI wizard. I did not study anything technical. I have a bachelor's degree in German. I have a master's degree in political science. And I'm automating stuff over here. So if you want to get like down and dirty with it, if you want to gain the skills that are necessary to have when you're going into your next job, vibe code your own website, make a workflow, something super basic. Make something that like checks your email or does something like that for you. Just figure out what works for you, and then be able to talk about that during interviews.
Yeah, I posted in the Slack. I made a website, and not even as a website, but I was able to make a website that was a personal job board that used an API and literally would provide jobs, all jobs that were posted within 48 hours, and then I could prompt it to only have jobs that's only like 24 hours, just so you could be first. And then it's filtered out to where, it's only jobs. If it's anything longer than 48 hours, it'll be removed from it. So,
Right.
and then you can set things up to where you can personalize it to your own state, have your own cities, all that stuff. And then you can create a workflow. I did all this in Manus. And then I even set it up to where it even sent me an email every morning. Um, One thing I also did was I was able to do some like dashboard connection with my like personal like statements. So like
Mhm.
I would start. You could even start like something simple as that, and even kind of going to like those levels of like the Zapier levels of like, okay, does everyone know how to use AI? Anyone who like say like they just uses like the chat to do like simple things will say yes, and those who um are doing like automations like you do, and then other people making like vibe coded like products and things like that, they'll say yes, but those are two completely different levels. And for those of us who are like, I'd like to learn more, but like I think most people don't understand the capability of what it can do, and that now, especially today, it doesn't take like I remember when like ChatGPT first came out and they were talking about like prompt engineer and things like that. There used to be this like I remember there was this GitHub of like all these very uh, detailed and technical, tutorials to build these things. Not anymore. Literally, you can just prompt something, and then you can literally have your own site built like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like understanding the capabilities of what you can build, and kind of thinking of like the different levels of it. Okay, well, level I know how to like do some chats, whatever it is. But do you know how to QA the AI? Do you know how to do that's a big thing. Like you can't say
Mhm.
until you know how to QA the AI. To me, you're still a beginner because it
Mhm.
will make mistakes, and that's one thing I really like about Manus. And I posted a video of it, I think like last week or something. It's like a 36-minute video where I show how you how to like build great projects with AI. Um, and I built it with Manus, and Manus has it's agentic, and then it will literally say like what it's doing. So there was a point where I was like, hey, find real data sets for supply chain, and it'll say the steps. Okay, looking at cattle, and You can conversate with it while it's like doing its thing instead of other ones where you have to wait. And you're like, oh no, don't go to cattle, right? Don't do that. So like literally QAing it, like being like a QA officer of the AI is like definitely like a skill set. In my opinion, if you really, we should expect to correct AI. Yeah, you should expect it. That should be an expectation. That's what I was saying. Where it was like, it's just like adopting a new baby. Like, you're not just gonna, when you got a newborn baby, the nurse isn't gonna take it home with you. You gotta take it home. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like AI like projects it like like sells itself as this like automated self-driving thing where it's like you just sit there, say what you want, and then just sit back and like you can go get some coffee or whatever. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's really a lot of QAing and being a manager, which most people don't like to do, and that's
Right.
why they get crappy outputs.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that being said as well, I would like to talk a little bit about specific applications for the job search. Do you mind if I pull up my slide?
No.
Awesome. All right. Okay, awesome. So Kadisha pulled up some good points about when it comes to like working with AI as a data analyst and how to learn those skills as a data analyst. Of course, we already touched on the topics of like in general, like what is a good AI and what is a bad AI, but I just want to like touch on it again because the bad AI is really, really important and it can ruin your job search. You want to see your chances go straight to zero, do bad AI. All right. So good AI, again, it helps you formulate and it makes you more efficient. And bad AI is when it takes over the thinking for you and makes stuff up. So hiring managers and recruiters hate nothing more than getting this perfect profile of a candidate. And it just looks like they were just made for this job. And then they get on the call with this person, and all of a sudden, it's just a completely different person. The person clearly doesn't have the skills that they listed on their resume. And as a seasoned like recruiter and definitely as a hiring manager in the department, like you can tell right away. Absolutely. And then this is not good for your career because I, as a recruiter, like let's say right now I work for company X and you're interested in working for company X, and then 5 years down the road, the recruiter is working at company Y. Now you want a job at company Y. I might actually remember you if it was that bad. I still have, you know, interviews that I remember from 6 years ago when I was working at Wayfair because they were bad. Usually it was because they were bad. If you're average, I don't necessarily remember that, but if you were bad, that sticks with me for sure. All right. So that being said, let me make this a little bigger so I can see it. So that being said, there are different ways that you can use AI for your job search, and I highly recommend it because, in my personal opinion, being able to use AI effectively in your job search is an indicator to an employer that you're going to be a good hire. And I think that there, a lot of people have come to me as well and said like, oh, but what if my company that, or what if this company that I'm interviewing for doesn't want any AI used in the application process at all? Well, then I would say honestly, like ask yourself if that's a company that you want to be working for. Because if I'm hiring for somebody who, well, first of all, if I'm hiring somebody that I don't expect to be AI fluent, is my company going to even exist in 5 years? That is a good question to be asking yourself. And also, you as an employee, if you're going to work for a company that does not use AI right now, imagine the next time that you do another job search 3 years, 5 years down the line, you haven't been flexing that muscle. It's going to be even that much harder for you to get a job in that 5, 3, or whatever, however many years. So I absolutely, if there's a company and people come to me saying like, I don't know if this company is going to be okay with me using AI, I would say hard pass. Hard pass. What do you think about that, Kadisha?
Yeah, once I saw it being used literally in the government, like NASA and stuff like that, I was like, I saw in which you talk about the slowest when it comes down to tech is
Yeah.
the federal government. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, it's definitely getting adopted. And
Yeah.
so if they're and they're usually slow to adopt everything when it comes to tech. If they're adopting it, um, yeah, that company, any company that's not using it, it's definitely a red flag. Even at the very least, they're like thinking about it, since like any implementation takes like months and months of whatever. But if there's no, let's say for example, I mean that's a good question in an interview. Do you guys use AI? If not, like, is there any plans? Um, Whatever that answer is, I think that'll be a good sign of like wherever they're going.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. So that being said, I am all for companies that smile upon those who use AI also during their job search. And so let's talk about some of the applications that you can be using AI for. And first is applications. Okay, when it comes to applications, we're not using the robo apply. We're not sending the bots out to do our dirty work for us. So what you want to do, like the foundation of your job search is your story. What is your brand story? What is your origin story? What made you you? And what made you the person who's gonna fill this particular, data analytics role, or a data analytics role overall, or whichever field you might be working in? What makes you you? How did you get to the point that you are today? Why do you have an affinity for this role? And why are you excited to work in this field? So a lot of times people have a hard time coming up with that story. But there are good ways that you can use it to have a chat and pull that story out. So another application, also very related, update your resume. It takes some time. Once you get your story clear, make sure that resume is updated. And if I may say, make sure that you're getting a customized resume out for every application, because the bots are out there. The recruiters are having those chats with people who aren't super as aligned in real life as they are on paper. So make sure that your resume is on point and use AI to help you improve it. And also nowadays, LinkedIn, oh, Kadisha, don't hate on me for this, but LinkedIn is more important than ever in the job search, because all the bots are out there. We've seen how flooded the job boards are with applications these days. So if I were sitting in a recruiter's chair right now, before I decide to interview somebody, I would be clicking on that LinkedIn link, because I want to just make sure that there is some kind of coherence there. If not, if the person looks like they might be a bot, like if they have a fake LinkedIn profile, if they don't have a LinkedIn profile, or if they're doing something completely different according to their LinkedIn profile than they are to the resume, I will not be interviewing them, because I will assume it's a waste of company time and therefore money. So a bad way to use AI for applications is just to make stuff up. Don't lie, leads to a bad recruiter experience. You're not going to move forward in the process. So don't make stuff up. Make sure that it's helping you get the best out of yourself so that you can tell an authentic story that is well aligned to their purposes as well. So, and as a bonus, a prompt or two for you as it pertains to applications. Prompt number 1, here's my resume and the job description. Help me highlight my most relevant experience. Okay, this is very basic. You'll want to do it a little bit more, but this is the type of prompt that you're going to want to make. And then second prompt, rewrite this bullet in XYZ format. XYZ format, we've talked about it on the stream before. I'll say it again really quickly. It's an accomplishment style bullet, right? I accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. So have it, take a look at your bullets and make sure that you're getting your metrics out there. You're leading with what you've accomplished as opposed to what you've done in your previous work. All right. So number 2 is assessments. So sometimes, I would send out an assessment when I was recruiting for BI. It would be like a SQL assessment or a Python assessment. So when it comes to assessments, some companies are okay with you using AI and some are not. And some take measures to monitor your workspace while you're doing the assessment to ensure that you haven't used any additional resources. Honestly, if it were me, I would be super happy to find out that the applicant is using AI effectively. And I would hope that they would outline the parameters of their expectations for AI use during those assessments. So that being said, see what they say. But the good ways to use AI for assessments is to have it help you plan your work, check your thinking, proofread anything that you're putting out there, and potentially co-create. So a lot of times companies don't want you to create something in ChatGPT. They want you to do the final work, but it's okay if you use it to help you structure. Use it as a co-thinker. But if you just create that doc in ChatGPT and it looks like it's formatted in a ChatGPT format, because you can tell, you look at these docs and you can tell whether Claude made it or whether ChatGPT made it. They're going to see that coming. So if they don't want that, then make sure that you're not using it that way. So that would be a bad use. Have AI do all the thinking for you and potentially generate the docs or output, unless they tell you to. So always asterisk, it depends. And then a prompt that you could use during an assessment could be something along the lines of, does my process align with the expectations for this assessment? Check my thinking on the steps that I took to write this. Oh, we just got a great question in from Soma NYC. I'll come back to your question at the end. Okay, right after I talk about interviews. So for interviews, there are also ways that you can tank your interview by using AI for your interview. And that is by using AI live during the interview. So there is nothing worse than sitting in an interview and seeing somebody literally read the answer to the question off a teleprompter. And this happens because there are AI tools out there, interview tools, that are listening in on the conversation. It will hear the question that the interviewer has asked you, and it will basically produce a perfect answer. And if you're using language that's unnatural, if I see your eyes scanning across the page, automatically, I don't trust you. I think that you're letting someone else do the thinking for you. So that would be a red flag, a whole, you're out of the process if I see you doing that. But a good way to use AI for your interview is to use it to prep. Have it run a self-introduction with you. Make sure that it's aligned to the story that you've already worked on with it previously. Have it generate a long list of questions that could potentially come up for this specific job. You can even set it up to do a mock interview. You go into speech mode in ChatGPT, tell it what you want to do, maybe give it the list of questions or tell it to generate the list of questions, and then make sure that you're answering those questions along the lines, along expectations, and in star format. And also another way is to ask it a little bit about the company's background. So have it do a little bit of research for you. And a good prompt for interviews is write a list of 30 interview questions that could come up for this role, assess my answer. And then along those same lines, have I used the star format effectively in my answer? All right, so a few different ways that you absolutely can and should be, in my opinion, using AI for your job search. So Soma NYC. Oh, look, I did it, Kadisha. It's the first time I put that on the screen. Learning something new every day. Okay, which AI tool you think is the best for the job search? I would say pick the tool that works best for you for the particular application that you've got at hand. So right now, for example, so previously I had been creating custom GPTs for all of my clients and having them use that for resume generation. And recently I have switched over to Claude, because you can toss your documentation into a Claude project and it does a great output. So setting that up as a Claude project, I've found to be like a lot more effective for interview prep. And I've also really loved using ChatGPT for the mock interview practice. I don't know, I've just found it to ask really good questions and yeah, be able to assess effectively and accurately. Honestly, I haven't run that in Claude yet, but it's just like, whatever you find that's working for you. Some people have an affinity for one tool over the other. So if you know your tool, lean into it, make sure you're getting some good output, and then go with it.
I know one thing for me that like ChatGPT has been the best when it comes down to memory. So when it comes down to like when you said about interviewing, asking questions, I think it's really still really good at that. But because even during the times I've used Claude and even with Manus, Manus is pretty good with memory now. But like I wouldn't say Claude is the best with memory, just like with ChatGPT. But it really felt like if you need like bouncing off or prompts or mock interview or things like that, or using AI to like come up with your origin story. Because a lot of times, honestly, because like when for my students, like one of the first things that they do is fill out the personal branding worksheets. When I would onboard students myself, I would say, "Do you have an elevator pitch?" 99% would say no, and then I'd say, "All right, well, if you had, if I had a job for you right now, what would be your elevator pitch?" And the thing is, it's like just that type of prompt would just get you thinking and get those ideas thinking and pulling a lot of those things out of you that you have, but you're just not thinking about naturally. And because of how important the foundational story and things like that, I think that's an amazing way to use ChatGPT or whatever it is. It definitely, whatever you use, it has to be something that where it has a lot of good context about you. So I think the prompts. So like if you say like, "Hey, act as a personal brand, blah blah blah," and I want to come up with my origin story for my personal brand for careers, and whatever questions there, those thought provoking questions that it does, you can take your time. And what I started doing too is talking to it, like the voice, like the microphone. I think that's the easiest thing to do. I do voice notes all the time, and just imagine it's just like you can get it'll like decipher all of that for you, but just literally conversating with it and those thought provoking prompts that you probably otherwise would not be able to think on your own to come up with. That is an excellent usage of AI, like
Yeah.
by far.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have it challenge you too, whatever tool you're using. You know, I found, and I don't know to what extent this is true, but between using ChatGPT and Claude, I feel like ChatGPT is a little bit more of a yes man than Claude is. It's a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
there's been studies that's proved that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I find like, I think that's something that I really like about the resume generation, because I really don't want it to be making stuff up. And I feel like ChatGPT has a little bit more of a creative license than maybe a Claude does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for those types of things too, like if you would create a project and having instructions that it would, like for example, I ran through a prompt. I ran through a prompt chain I was given for something else, but there was a something in the prompt where it was like multi-step, and the second one, it pretty much would challenge your hypotheses about something. So I think that's like again, and those about the QAing and stuff like that. Like those are like the more advanced things about AI that you really have to integrate into it. And I'm gonna go back to the kid thing. How often do kids lie about lie about like, yeah, I studied for my thing. Yeah, I don't know what the teacher's talking about. I
Right.
don't know what they talk about. Like, so all those things is like super important. But super powerful when you integrate them in like your instructions and stuff like that. So, but um, but yeah, I would say yeah, that is one thing about ChatGPT that I don't like. Now the great thing about all of them is that they all have like the same abilities now. Like before, it felt like okay, ChatGPT was good at this one thing, Claude was good at this one thing, Gemini was good at this one thing. So it felt like you had a use case for all three. But now you can pretty much do everything. Especially now with Gemini, they just launched their AI agent, Spark.
Mm,
So
yep.
yeah, pretty much anything that you can do in one, you can pretty much do in the other. It's just preference now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Alrighty. I mean, any quick questions? Hey, first of all, shout out to Kevin for being the only LinkedIn comment for the night.
Yes, and good comment, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good. Yeah, AI learn concepts I'm not familiar with. It's good. And I mean, a low key cheat code is just if there's something that's like, I don't know, even like one of those research papers, academic research papers that like you really want to read, but it's like it's written in like, I don't know, just a crazy language. Like even putting it into Notebook LLM or whatever and just having it explain things to you like a 5-year old. It is so like underrated. And then when it comes down to the levels of like understanding, the highest is whether you can teach something. So you should always be striving for that anyways, but being able to have something spit out a super hey, explain this to me like I'm 5 or something like that. Absolutely. You can use AI to just shorten the learning curve for things. Super underrated. I mean, everybody should be doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody should be doing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Stuff.
Any questions any more questions in the chat? Man, more people start coming later. Like is 8 p.m. I mean, is it what's going on? It was like crickets at first. It felt like no one wanted to come over.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we should think about our time. Oh, thank you, Way Waller.
Oh wait, I'm gonna check your LinkedIn. I'm gonna check your LinkedIn and make sure you did those updates. Let me do that right.
Oh, you know Way Waller?
Yeah, yeah, you should know it too.
Oh, maybe I just don't know the screen name.
Wayman.
Not sure. Family happened.
Wayman, good updates. I will have some more. I'll have some further feedback in your coaching channel. We got, but much better. Okay, just off a side note, Wayman had a very great background. We actually did his we actually reviewed his LinkedIn profile for yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he now has a banner. So good.
Good.
I got so I'll have some more feedback on how we can more refine this more, but we have our banner.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Well, I am super excited this week. Oh, yes, of course. Why are we not connected? I'm sending you a connection request right now. So, Wayman, please accept my connection request.
Joe in the chat, yo, shout out Joe. He's also a Knicks fan. He's also was a New York guy. But Joe said he started embracing AI to make my writing a bit more proficient. I'm looking forward to build myself a custom job search using it. Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I
For
can't wait
sure.
to hear how that goes for everybody. And coming soon to Data in Motion crew, as well as Emily Career Services crew, we'll be getting into tutorials on how to make that resume tool with all of the parameters that you need from me. So that should be coming either this week or next week. And this week, I'm also super excited because I relaunched my website, Vibe Coded with Love. So speaking of tools, Kadisha, I don't think I've even shared it with you.
No.
Right. So head on over to emilycareerservices.com, a complete refresh. And I'm super excited there because I got, I talked about my workflow. There are some automations that occur, not while you use the website, but afterwards. You might get an email from me.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I made that
Y'all,
lovable.
did you guys know if you go on Emily's website, you can apply for a free strategy session? Is that true?
That is true. You absolutely can. You can
Yeah,
have a
really?
chat with me if you're interested in having Emily support you with your job search. And something else that I really, really love about my website relaunch is that you can go and do a free assessment to see, what is your blocker in your job search. Thank you, Kadisha.
And you vibe coded this all by yourself?
I vibe coded this 100% by myself with Lovable. And something that I love about that, if you want to show off your vibe coding skills, if you vibe code with Lovable, there is a Lovable proficiency level that is connected to that you can connect to your LinkedIn page. So right now, after I vibe coded this website, I am at the silver proficiency level according to Lovable, and you can find that on my LinkedIn page. So it's a good way to
Wow.
show that off.
Oh, and Emily, have you ever taken a web development course or software engineering course? Wow.
Never, absolutely never. Yeah.
And this would not be a thing. This would probably have taken you 20 years before AI to build.
Oh yeah, I would have had to pay someone to do this, but
Yeah.
no, I sat down. It was like I don't know about 3 days, on and off working on the site and built up. It's only like 4 pages overall, but yeah, super proud of what I was able to accomplish. All the automations and the sliders and the buttons that you can push. So, and this is something that if I do go back into the labor market after I get everybody jobs, so after you all have jobs and I'll need to go back and look for a job, I'll be able to tell people, well, this is the stuff that I vibe coded. These are the automations that I made using Any2N and things like that. So so you can do it too if you are a data analyst and you don't have a portfolio, for example. Consider vibe coding it.
Nice. All righty. Uh post in the chat really quickly. 1 more minute left. Yeah, shout out to Emily for her assistance helping me get my resume and LinkedIn profile updated. Absolutely, Joe.
Very
Absolutely.
welcome.
Absolutely. She's a goat, man. She's a goat.
What
She's a
can I
goat
say?
for a reason. Listen,
Just
what do y'all? You got 1 more minute. You all want to post in the chat? What should we talk about in next time in 2 weeks? Why? Yeah, in 2 weeks. Post in the chat.
let
I
us
guess we
know.
just got. As long as we put AI in the title, everyone's gonna be there.
Yeah, and
Burgers with
feedback
yeah.
about this session too, if it was helpful for you. I'd love to hear that too. So, and for anybody who's out there, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll just post my LinkedIn here.
Presentations. What do you mean way like presentations? I will have questions, but I didn't trust me. Presentations. What kind of presentations?
Do you mean presenting your results as a data analyst? All right.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for spending the evening with us or morning. Let's go Knicks. Absolutely. Let's go Knicks. We're 1-0. Listen, listen. We're 1-0. Okay, we're 1-0 with the Knicks. Emily probably doesn't know what we're talking about here, but Joe knows what we're talking about. Basketball. The Knicks are in the finals. We are 1-0 on our way. We haven't won the. When was the last time we won the title? Too long ago. I wasn't even conceived yet. Wasn't even thought about it. My parents were children last time the Knicks won the title. Okay, like so. Listen, let's go Knicks. Anyone who's a Spurs fan, I'm sorry, but if you're a Knicks fan, listen, this is our year, and I'm excited. It's gonna be a good month. It's gonna be a good June. It's gonna be a good June. We're 50% to the through the year, y'all. Write down tonight. Write down your goal to accomplish in the next 12 months by Christmas, and let's go after it. We're 50% in. Yeah, we're 50% in. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, new industrial revolution. We are in, and we'll talk more about that next time. We'll talk more about that.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. See you next time.
See you. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.